Okay, welcome to uh podcast with Dad. um, Today we're talking about this book by Pema Chodron. It's called The Pocket Pema Chodron. She is a very, uh, I think, very wise Buddhist nun, and I like reading this book because I find a lot of the times when I'm stressed, I flip to a chapter. They're very short chapters, and then I
Mm-hmm.
feel calm after reading it. So today we're
Okay.
going to go into the first chapter, which is chapter 1, The Noble Heart. So I will read the first paragraph, we'll go paragraph by paragraph, and then my dad and I will talk about our thoughts about each paragraph. So first
Mm-hmm.
paragraph, The Noble Heart. Bodhichitta is a Sanskrit word that means noble or awakened heart. It is said to be present in all beings. Just as butter is inherent in milk and oil is inherent in a sesame seed, this soft spot is inherent in you and me.
Mm-hmm. The
The,
first paragraph. Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. It's not only inherent in human; it's also in all living things.
mm,
Yes. And a little bit of addition to it. Even inherent to some beings are without form because
mm,
we are in a form world, but there are beings without form. So human may be beings in the thin air, who knows? That's what
yeah.
the sutra says. There's different beings in different levels.
Mm, yeah,
Okay.
I didn't
So
even
that's
think about that. But that's a
mhm.
good point because I was like, oh, it can include animals. But yeah, there's a lot of beings that we don't even know exist that that will have this Buddha
Yeah,
nature.
we don't have the senses. We only have like five senses, and we don't have the senses to sense them, able to in contact with them. So, but they are around.
Hmm. Yeah, and and just kind of bring it back to humans. A lot of times we think that someone might be a bad person or like we get very annoyed at people, but even those people, everyone will have this awakened heart inside them too. They are also have a Buddha heart inside as well.
Yes, for sure. That this heart just has to be awakened. Usually, it is blocked by
Mm,
our daily uh, preoccupations, uh, like even anger, worry, jealousy, uh, even craving. So all this will block it. Uh, uh, More almost block it completely, depending on how intense that uh,
mm-hmm.
negative stuff, the craving stuff is. Um,
Yeah. And just for context, for those who speak Chinese, bodhicitta translate to 菩提心 or 菩提心. It's a Sanskrit form. Okay,
right, right. Mhm.
I'm going to go to the next paragraph here, which is it is said that in difficult times, it is only bodhicitta that heals. When inspiration has become hidden, when we feel ready to give up, this is the time when healing can be found in the tenderness of pain itself. This is the time to touch the genuine heart of bodhicitta. In the midst of loneliness, in the midst of fear, in the middle of feeling misunderstood and rejected, is the heartbeat of all things, the genuine heart of sadness. I think this paragraph is a little deeper, so I'm interested to hear what kind of thoughts you have on it.
Yeah, that's a very important paragraph. It kind of yeah, this bodhicitta, uh, if it awakens, it can heal uh, anything, almost anything, because it's we could call it a god. of things. Uh, yeah, so it's important. This is that can heal, like even depression, injuries, or not physical injury. Like it would increase your immune system, but like especially the inside, the emotions. Uh, if the bodhicitta is awakened, or if you are enlightened and you can keep yourself in that state, it could help a lot of stuff. Uh, like I mentioned, it loneliness, in the midst of loneliness, in the midst of fear. If you are enlightened, there is really no loneliness. It's only quietude and serene and tranquility, all that word. And that's really loneliness is a thought. If you think yourself lonely, then you are lonely. It's a thought. It's the power of thinking. Yeah. But if you didn't raise the thought, where is loneliness? It doesn't even exist, right? It's just you're very peace in your environment. The surroundings are very peaceful and very uh, uh, tranquil, and then you didn't raise any thoughts. So where is the loneliness? But then if you raise a thought, if you are thinking, oh, I'm lonely, there's nobody around, then there is a manifestation going on in your mind. But before that manifestation, there is no loneliness, so there is no depression.
I guess I should ask a clarifying question, or
Mhm.
so to see if I'm interpreting. Are you saying that the thought comes up first, and then the feeling of loneliness comes after the thought?
Yes, yes, it's everything is controlled by the thought. The thought always come up first, and then uh, because the thought comes up first, and then you start to have this feeling, and then you drown yourself in that feeling. Yeah, you are drilled in the thought. That means you are what's the word? Chấp chợt, cái mere word.
Uh, ooh, that's a good one to translate to English.
Yeah,
Um,
mm.
Almost like attachment
Yeah,
to an
yeah,
idea.
exactly. Yeah, you are attached to that thought, to that feeling, but it was first raised by a thought.
Hmm.
I think uh, this uh, everything inside yourself is happened that way. Even anger is first uh, because the thought happens so fast. We don't know how many calculations per second, and it's like quantum. Uh,
Mhm.
like if usually a person didn't, has no meditation experience, they would not catch it. Yeah, but if you are meditate to a level, even a tiny thought that is um, starting to have a little bit of a frequency going on, like a wave going on in your mind, you catch it right away before it gets bigger and bigger and like starts a fire and then get bigger into a forest fire,
Mhm.
then everything is out of control. Yeah, um, so that means that's why uh, they want the purpose here is they want you to awaken your bodhicitta, and that is actually every day people are talking about like oneness, the oneness in yourself or the present moment. That's what it is. If you are already always in your present moment, you can catch a lot of these thoughts that are starting to come up before it gets out of control. But then people would tend to suppress the thought. But maybe first it might work. You cannot suppress it very long because the thought is, according to the Buddhism scriptures, is just projection. You could call it projection of things, uh, and it just comes and goes. So there is really an impermanent. It's just an emptiness, born out of the emptiness, born out of the void, and the thoughts. Uh, your thoughts are affected by the surrounding atmosphere, the surrounding environment, or old memories. All the memories will, will cause yourself to get into that thinking again. Uh, but you have to understand. After that's why you have to keep studying and reading the Buddhist scriptures or the sutras until you understand where all the thoughts are coming from, why they are impermanent, why they are an illusion. Then you can let go. Yeah, the word is just you have to let go. You have to drop it. You cannot not to suppress it. If you have thought comes up and you try to suppress it, it just gets worse and worse.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you would go crazy after a while. You keep suppressing your thought, right? But if you're you know the truth, then you can let go.
Mm.
If then that thought won't come up again because you know the truth. You know how it comes from, where it comes from. Then you don't have to suppress it, and then you can stay in your present moment, and that is the bodhicitta awakened moment.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's why it says here it can heal a lot of stuff. So now you know the reason why it can heal, right? Because healing, you have to let go.
Mm.
Heal, especially emotional, angry, all that stuff. You got to let go. Uh, you got to, in the Christians, you have to forgive.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And then uh, that would be resolved, and then it won't come up and bother you again because you can see through it. You can see where it all come from. Yeah, like, but it because we are into so many bad habits after all these years. After we read this, in the next moment we forget it again, and
Mhm.
all then we go back to that old beaten path and walk that path again. Yeah, so then you have to keep reading it every
Mhm.
time you you wander off. Then you got to okay, get that book and read a couple of pages, and then it will guide you back into the right path. So you got to keep doing it for maybe like 2 3 years. Then you can see yourself starting to change.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it won't happen right away. It's not like, oh, okay, I read this book. Oh, now I know what to do. Yeah, because you know the theory, you know what's happening. But almost without your control, you go back to that old habit again.
Mhm.
Yeah, we all do that.
Yeah.
So that's why we need to keep reading different authors. And, yeah, but ultimate aim is to awaken. That's a very powerful bodhicitta inside of you or inside of everyone.
Mhm.
It just have to. Um,
Plug in my computer. Okay.
okay, okay. Yeah, so that would explain this chapter, I guess. Any other
Oh,
question?
Yeah, I have a couple comments of my own, but
Mm,
just kind of when you mentioned the suppression and how like suppressing thoughts kind of makes it worse and it can drive someone crazy. Uh, it just reminded me of this example in the book that I read by Tara Brach, who is also a Buddhist, uh, and she uses the example of a hydra, which is a monster in Greek mythology. And then the hydra is a monster where when you cut off one of the heads and then it'll spring out two more heads in its place. So
mhm,
it's
mhm.
kind of like when we try to suppress and it kind of will make things worse, but when we get to the source of the problem, then you kind of like kill the monster at the source. And so instead of the monster getting bigger and bigger, you just kind of deactivate it in a way.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very good example. Yeah, yeah. You. That's why you have to keep reading uh, these teachings to know the truth, to see through the whole thing. And you don't have to suppress anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You're really free because you know exactly where the thoughts are coming from. Why is there? Um, you don't have to be um, controlled by it. You control the thoughts, not the thinking control you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now things are a lot of people are controlled by outer things, by their thoughts, but
Mm-hmm.
it should be the other way around. You are the master. You're not the slave of the thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I'll use an example. Sometimes it's helpful to use an example, but sometimes examples people can also get, I guess, attached to examples. But so like for example, like if I have worries about money and then then I worry about my job or I worry about like little things, but then if I go back to the source, which is realizing that, money is just a means to help me survive. And at the end of the day, money doesn't really mean that much because I can't take it with me to the next life or anything. Then that's kind of going back to a deeper part and it helps me let go of what feels like superficial stress, like what feels very stressful now, but it's actually very superficial if I go to a deeper level and let go of something closer to
Mm.
I don't know if my example makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Because yeah, people are not seeing uh, far enough. Everyone is just worried about this lifetime.
Mhm,
Like, oh, okay, some people are even thinks, oh, I only live once, so I gotta enjoy everything. I gotta have everything and make the most money. But you gotta think more than that. There's a next life, and next life is never ending. There's a reincarnation, never ending. And then if you did a lot of uh, you are attached to a lot of stuff in this world, in this lifetime, you will bring a lot of negative energy, like a lot of bad karma to the next life. And according to Buddhist scriptures, uh, as the reincarnation might not, sometimes it goes so bad that it might not be in a human form anymore. It could be in an animal form,
mm,
in the animal path, or the a hell, and then they have so many levels of hell too. Yeah, so then that is they call cause and effect. So yeah, so whatever the cause you did in this lifetime is going to affect you for a long, long time to come, and it could be even more, a lot more suffering than this lifetime. Yeah, so you have to see that far, far, far down the road, and then to decide what you should do it this lifetime.
mhm,
Yeah, does that make sense?
mhm. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's remind me of something that the Pastor Wayne that I listen to sometimes. He say he's not making investments for this lifetime, but for eternity or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good example too. Yeah, yeah. So what sometimes we see, especially practitioners, meditation practitioners, or somebody practicing Buddhism or some other uh, religion, they don't make sense. They are kind of going uh, doing stuff that are against your uh, what we call like the logic thinking, right?
Mhm,
Because how come they are satisfied by just like uh, sitting there meditation,
mhm,
just eating a meal a day or something, uh, being quiet and not having any activities or anything exciting. They are actually investing or or the ultimate goal is
mhm,
to uh, have to stop that reincarnation,
mhm,
like
mhm,
to go to the uh, they have their own heaven, right?
mhm.
Um, so and then that like it would be an eternity. Yeah, they are looking for eternity. Um, that's why they think is much worth it than just uh, getting uh, like craving stuff in this lifetime. So they rather give it all up,
Mhm,
give up money or whatever, and
mhm.
then uh, materialism, they give it all up, and then they are going to a higher level of being.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we we try to do that too. It's a tough road to walk. It's not
Mhm,
easy. It's like sometimes one step up and two step back.
mhm.
Yeah, but if you go two step up, one step back, then you're good because finally you get there. Yeah,
And
it's a slow process.
I think it's also like it builds on itself, like it's positively reinforcing because, like, now that I have this meditation practice, it kind of brings me like levels of peace and calm. It brings me these levels of joy that, for example, like money or a new car would not bring. So like
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
then and so I keep working on it, and then it kind of, as you said, brings me to like higher levels of being, and then that feels better than like any joy that a material good can give me, and then you just naturally want to uh, follow that path more.
yeah. That's why it says we were that way. We were that way always to be in peace and that happiness. We were made that way, like it's just the way it is. This Bodhichitta is the way it is. Uh, to have happiness and it doesn't really depend on any materialism to be happy. It's
Mhm,
just the way it stays that way. That's why it's eternal happiness. You could
mhm,
get if you keep practicing it and it stay in that state even after this lifetime, and then your soul or the spirit would maintain that state. You are in that happiness state, and you could even uh, be released of the reincarnation. Yeah, the that's the joy. Yeah, that would be like happiness and joy. So that one would be a joy, right? But if like in the world, if you only depend on material to stay happy, or uh, I need praises, somebody I need to hear praises, somebody to praise me to be happy. or I need to make that much money to be happy. It won't last very long. So that's why the practitioners don't really care about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, they know that it's impermanent, it's temporary, and it just makes you attached to it even more, right? Because it's never ending. Like first, for a young child, oh, okay, if was able to make $100, he would be really happy.
Mhm.
Make $100 in a week. But then, as we go more and more, we crave for more and more. Then we make 1,000, and then we make 10,000. How come there's still something not content?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just not complete. Yeah, so that's a different path to the worldly things, like to the material world. Yeah, that's good thing you're walking the path, because that's that is a very uh, high uh, wealth, because
Mhm.
you do it for the next life.
Yeah.
Like wealth is not material too, right?
Mhm.
Wealthy doesn't mean uh, like you have a lot of money doesn't mean you're wealthy, because it
Mhm.
doesn't mean you are free. You're still attached to a lot of stuff, and you're still not happy, right? Hmm.
Yeah. And I think that kind of ties into the last paragraph, which I will read now. Uh,
Okay.
just as a jewel that has been buried in the earth for 1,000,000 years is not discolored or harmed, in the same way, this noble heart is not affected by all of our kicking and screaming. The jewel can be brought out into the light at any time, and it will glow as brilliantly as if nothing had ever happened. No matter how committed we are to unkindness, selfishness, or greed, the genuine heart of the Bodhichitta cannot be lost. It is here in all that lives, never marred and completely whole. And that just kind of reminds me of what you were saying earlier about kind of the material goods, because compared to like material wealth, compared to like the brightness of kind of this uh the Buddha nature, or this jewel, like it
Hmm.
makes any kind of material, like it's very dim, because this jewel is so bright, like once you uncover it and connect with it.
Right, right. Once you awaken it, and it's yours forever. It stays with you. You always have that contact with it forever. Like money, you won't be able to bring any after a lifetime. You gotta go with bare hands, or whatever. Where you cannot. But this one, even after the lifetime, it stays with you. It's
Mhm.
still, you're still uh, you still are very joyful, and then it gets brighter. So if you keep practicing, it will get brighter and brighter and brighter. But you got to let it. The trick is you have to let it be itself. You cannot, do not try to attempt to achieve anything like to make it brighter.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is not something that we can mold, or we can turn it into something to change it. It is as is. Yeah, so you have to let go of world stuff, worldly things, to let it appear. You cannot make it appear. You have to let go of all your attachments, cravings, or whatever in the worldly stuff. Um, like to empty your mind, to still your mind. If your mind is still, you have a still mind, it appears.
Mhm.
Yeah, but if your mind is clouded and is um, always spinning, or always running like a train and can't stop it, it would it would be covered by all that busy stuff. It's there, still there. It never goes away.
Mhm.
But if you, it just you have to let it awaken or let it uh, hidden. Yeah, then it cannot. If it's hidden there, it cannot help you. It cannot help anyone because the mind is always chasing outer things. So you have to go back to with something within yourself to find it. And the only way to find it is to let go of things.
Mhm.
If there's nothing more to let go, then you have a nice jewel,
Mhm.
so bright that will come up. And then, and this jewel will, if you listen to it, you submit to it, it would guide you into a higher level. It's like a light. Yeah, it's like a light that could you could see where you're going. But without it, you are going after stuff, outer stuff. You have no light. You are always in the illusion. You cannot get out of the illusions. So this is the light that can help you get out of all that
Mhm.
illusion, all that suffering, because the illusion can cause a lot of suffering and illness. Okay.
Yeah, and um, I'll just add that, like, not even thinking about like future lives, but just in this life, um, like it's I find this just a very practical piece of wisdom for me to use, because whenever I'm stressed about something, I realize I'm stressed about something like very impermanent. And then if I realize I already have the most valuable jewel and it's within me and it's something that can never be destroyed or taken away from me, then it automatically helps me relax and let go. Um, which and letting in that letting go, that will help the jewel shine brighter, and it kind of becomes a cycle that builds on itself.
Yeah, that is right, and it is true because because some people might not fully believe in it, and then what you're saying, they would think that, oh, that's just a way to a saying to make me feel better, right? To make people feel better. So, uh, so it might work a while or not, but it is the truth. Yeah, you have to. That is the only way to uh, stop suffering. Yeah, they would say the cessation is that the word?
Yep.
Cessation of suffering, and this is the only jewel that could help you because it cannot be destroyed and is everlasting, uh, and it's because people like without it, people would think that, oh, this person died, and then that person died, or maybe I myself want to die someday, and there's nothing left because death is is finished, nothing, and that's already a suffering in
Hmm.
itself, right? That's already a suffering in itself. But if you know that's, oh, there's something I can work on, and even though this body will just return, we just rent its body. I just
Hmm.
rent
Yeah.
we'll just return it to earth, and then I have this jewel. It's going to be everlasting and so joyful for me. Uh, then it really makes uh, makes you feel so much more comforting, and you are not uh, that afraid to face death anymore,
Hmm.
right? Yeah, if ever if a death comes up, and I guess just whatever, right? The If that's the fate, then okay, we just go with the fate.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. I
Mhm.
didn't think about that as well because yeah, our physical body is something that will die at one point in time. So it's something impermanent, but it's like it's just a vehicle for this jewel or the divine spark in all of us. And uh,
Right.
and then the divine spark or this jewel doesn't die, but even though our body will one day die, and death is very scary for everyone, really.
Oh,
So
even
it's good
even
to be connected to the fact that we always have this. I call it the ultimate security because what is most valuable to us is never will never disappear.
right, yeah, and then just the words, the sentence saying that, oh, this body don't matter anymore. But then got to be careful saying that, what, because people then would attach to it, right?
Uh-huh.
Because, oh, then does that mean that I can abuse this body? I just, don't really care for it anymore because now I'm not afraid of death. But no, you need, because the jewel needs the body
Mm,
to be to to purify,
mhm,
because in so many other past lifetimes we have this uh, all this negative stuff, like maybe the bad karma that it brought to this lifetime. Now it's attached to our body, and then we need our consciousness, our intelligence, to be able to bring this jewel, to awaken this jewel.
mhm,
But without this body, if the jewel didn't get purified or bright enough, awakened enough, and then the body die first, then it's still not bright enough. It's still very dim,
mhm,
and then it would look for, because there are still so much attachment and
mhm,
still unfinished business, unfinished relationship, all that stuff, and they would go look for a different body, a
mhm,
different form to get in and continue on. That's the reincarnation. Yeah, so we need to take good care of the body
mhm,
to walk this path um, as long as possible,
mhm,
to get it all awakened as bright as possible,
mhm,
until we are completely uh, free,
mhm,
free of all this worldly attachment. Then, okay, then you would just lay back and wait for that day to come.
mhm,
Just eat and sleep, and
mhm.
wait for the day to come. Then you absolutely have no fear at all.
Yeah. And that reminds me of a book I'm reading right now. It's called Wild Nights by David Data, and it talks about focusing on the middle path versus like getting distracted left and right. So in this case, like it just reminded me like going to the right is like, oh, like this body is really important and I'm very attached to my body, like, and then there's a lot of fear around death. But then the
Mhm.
other path, the other extreme is like, oh, I don't care about my body. I'm gonna go eat all the delicious junk food. But then that sense we're also kind of attached to our senses. But then the middle path is kind of like the way where we're not attached either side to those things.
Yeah. That they very emphasize on the middle way. Middle way is kind of you do your best, and then just let things play out,
Mhm.
and just whatever how the plays out, then um, doesn't matter, but you have to do your best.
Mhm.
You just cannot find a reason to uh, go for a lot of cravings or harm yourself or something like that. Then that would be uh, abuse. Yeah,
Mhm.
abuse yourself. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that be this chapter.
Yes, that is this chapter. That's so the three paragraphs we went over. Any uh any parting words for the audience?
Parting word is yeah, it is easy and not easy,
Mhm.
depending on how much you're willing to let go. Right? Some people can let go of things a lot easier than other people. So if you're able, that's why if you're still having problem to drop things, to let things go, keep reading.
Mhm.
Don't have to read it all day. Just a couple pages a day, like a reminder, and then keep going the path, and until you get more and more into the truth, then you would naturally be able to let things go.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's the final word.
Cool. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, my dad. Thanks to my dad for joining me on my video today.
Yeah. Welcome.
Okay, I'm going to stop.